Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's Great Game of Government Huddle for August 16th. My name is Christian Carroll. I will be going over our first session of department education from the Office of the Assessor for Greene County. A couple of housekeeping things. Does anyone remember what the game was last week? Does anyone?
Oh, about scooting in on the rows?
Well, it was two. We had two. Yes, excellent.
Okay.
You're going to get a star. We got to scooch in. So we got to kind of fill the room towards the middle. So if you're on the outside, come on in. Come on in. And the other one is if you have a question or if you're talking, because we've got some mics around the room, we want to speak up with volume. So talk to the back of the room, or in the back of the room, talk to the front as we go. So we're going to go ahead and proceed with the a little information about the assessor's office. Then we're going to close out with I don't know if you've drawn. Our wonderful commissioners is going to come up and talk about their game in their department. Asked them how much time they needed. They said, "Oh, not much." So I'm going to finish in about I'm going to do a solid 3 minutes and give them a good 27 minutes. Ask me questions about anything that's going on. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So again, my name is Christian Carroll. I have been with the county a very short time, about 4 months. So I'm very excited to be a part of the great game of government because every meeting I go to, I'm kind of like a sponge. I'm trying to learn something new every day. And this is just a great way for us to learn about the various departments. So I'm looking forward to the departments that will be following us in the weeks to come. So my clicker is new. We have the wheel of all of the departments in the county. And if you remember from a few weeks ago that Angie displayed the wheel and the assessor's office, for some reason, was on the very bottom of the wheel. And I hope that that's because we're going alphabetically, or it could be representing that the assessor's office is actually located in the basement of the courthouse. Right there. I'm going to skip this guy. And so moving forward, we have a screen that's going to display a wonderful photo of our wonderful elected office holder, the Honorable Brent Johnson, who is in attendance today. Say hi, Brent. Brent was elected in the fall of 2020, unique for his office. He did not assume his role until September of the following year. And then we can go forward. As I mentioned, we're located in the basement of the historic courthouse. We actually kind of uniquely occupy three separate offices on the south side of the basement. Right now, we've got 30 employees overall over our three departments, including our office holder. Our first of our three departments that I kind of want to highlight, and we have some representation from in the room, is our mapping department. Everything really starts with our mapping department. We have three excellent employees there, and they're the ones that, from the ground up, start the process for what we have to do to build on top of. So they're the ones that take the 50-acre farm and actually map it out and cut it up into the various lots for development. And that really seeds the whole process for what our appraisers are going to do later in the process in the building system. So they take care of all of the mapping for our taxing districts. So the wonderful TIFs and all of the other great little, so there we go. We've got SIDS, NIDS, TIFs, right-of-ways, things like that. So when a school says we need a bigger line or we want to expand the parking lot and take over some extra space, they're the ones that actually go in and map it out and do it. And I was never good at math in high school, but some of the plats that they get, I tried to look at one. It was like trying to read French while being spoken to in German. It's very difficult. And what they have to do on an everyday basis amazes me every time. So that is the first department that we have. They are actually located in room 35. And then as we proceed further, we have our personal property department. Now that is our most customer-facing department in the building. That is where you go if you're new to Greene County, you're new to Missouri, you have to register or set up an account for the registration of personal property. So we see some examples of that. Who likes to go to the lake? I do. Who's got a truck? I do. So trailers, So they deal with also commercial property as well, business equipment, personal equipment, things of that nature. So we really help the taxpayer. A lot of times, that is the first office and the first department that a taxpayer in the building will go to. But it's not necessarily the department that they need to go to. They need to go to the collector's office. They need to go to the recorder's office. Uniquely, this building, as you walk into the building, if you don't take the stairs, if you come in from the ground floor, you feel like you should be on the first floor, but you're actually in the basement. So we get a lot of wayward traffic, and we're always happy to assist them. And we've got a lot of great people in our personal property department that do a very good job in making sure they all know exactly where to go. If anyone has spoken to Annette down in our personal property department, she will. She loves to say, well, now, do you do stairs? Do you do stairs? Okay, you do. Okay, so you're going to take the stairs on this side, go right up, circle around, and then take a double right, and then back in the corner. That's the collector's office. Here, I'm going to hand you this piece of red paper, and it'll take you, and it almost gives them a map of where to go. So they are excellent in everything that they do. The next department that we have is our real estate department. This is our largest department, and there's a lot of representation in the back of the room from this department as well. And they do all of our work in the field. So they are our portion of our department that actually does a lot of the interaction in the field with customers, explaining kind of a lot of things about what we do. So they will go out and they will be the ones that take that information from the mappers. We put a permit in, and then they start the process. We have data collectors that will go out. They will measure new construction. They will monitor. They will go back 2-3 months at a time. Who's built a house in Greene County in the last 10 years? Anyone? One? Just one?
Several.
Several. So it's not a quick process. It's not a fast process. If a builder tells you it's going to be 6 months, what's it going to take? There may be some builders in the room.
6 months. I think you do it in 6 months today.
So that process is something that our field appraisers and our data collectors have to go out, and they have to kind of keep a pulse on that and monitor that throughout the entire process. So if it's a big house, one of the McMansions somewhere, it might take a year and a half to finish. So those are the employees and the representatives of Greene County that are out there daily checking progress and making sure that once it's completed and once it's occupied, that we know that, and that's when we can do what? Put it on the rolls for the rest of this year and roll it over the next year. So that is yeoman's work. The numbers are a little short. I think we've got a few more than 120,000 parcels in Greene County. I think it's about, Brent, what are we looking at? 126,000 parcels. Statutorily, we're required to touch those parcels once a year. So if you want to do some quick math, and my math is a little off, it's higher than 50 a day. So that's on an estimation of a 4-day work or a 5-day work week with the number of field agents that we have. So if we have illness, we haven't had any illnesses in the last couple of years, but if we have any illness or any impact to that, it can really just, it's like a, you know, it's kind of like a house of cards that operates very well, but it's amazing what we have to do. And we do it with grace and dignity every day. And I've been out, and when I first started, the first thing I did was I got thrown into a car with one of our data collectors, and I went out for about a week. And I got to see exactly what they do, what the requirements are. They're sometimes the first person that a taxpayer or a new occupant sees from the county. And I don't know if you're familiar, but not everybody likes. There's a little bit of a perceived notion that we're the bad guy when we're really kind of not the bad guy. We try to be the good guy, and we try to help educate the public and the customers every day. Now, there is going to be a 3-question quiz at the end of this. So we'll kind of talk about some of the misconceptions of our department, what we kind of have to face on a daily basis, and what we try to help the customers and the public know. So the most common misunderstanding that we face in the field is that we are the department that sends out your tax bill. So who sends out the tax bills? What department in this room? Okay, it could be the treasurer, It could be the assessor, or it could be the collector. Who do we think it is? It's the collector, yes. The next common misunderstanding that we have, and we're happy to help with that, is that we're the department that collects your tax payment. You're just out here measuring my new deck because you want to get more money from me. You want to get more money from me. Who do you think collects that money? Would it be the collector? Would it be the treasurer or the assessor? Who might it be? Answer? It's the collector.
Yeah.
And then the last one, and this can be the most confusing one, is who sets the tax rates? You're just here to raise my taxes because I built a new deck, or I put in a pool, or I built a nice garage. Is he here? I wore his shoes in his honor. These are my Shane Scholler shoes. So, but that would be answer the county clerk. So what he applies them. So what we want to do as the assessor's office is we want to make sure that we're all pulling our fair share. So all we want to do is assess the value accurately. The amount of money that they're supposed to get is basically fixed, but how it gets funded is by all of us. So if we have a higher burden or a lower burden, we want to make sure that that's applied equitably and fairly to everyone in the county so that we're all pulling in the same direction and it's just as fair as it can be. So that is truly the role of the assessor's office. We're not the bad guy, we're really the good guy. Not to say that anyone else is the bad guy. Not to put that out there. But we all serve a purpose for the greater good, and I think that that's just a real wonderful thing. Now, I threw a lot of stuff out there, and I apologize. I didn't stop as we were going along for any questions. I have a huge gallery of experts in the back row that would be happy to answer any questions. Is there any questions from the room, or do we have any chat questions that we need to address about any of the departments or the functions of the assessor's office? I see a hand in the air. Yes, sir, in the back, middle. There you go.
I'm dead in the middle. So how do you meaningfully assess and appraise that many pieces of property? I mean, is it a full appraisal, or is it just kind of a quick checklist you go? That seems like a lot.
We operate on a function called mass appraisal. So we basically take as much information as we can validly gather at the beginning of the process, and as the markets and as other sales go on around that area, once an appraisal is set, it is basically going to be there for the market conditions. Now, we may have market conditions that cause that area or parcels to go up or down, but we have a remediation process. If someone feels that they have been overvalued, we have informal hearings every year that the public can request, and we can schedule a more thorough review of the property. If there's a feature or something that we had incorrectly, a lot of times the biggest issue that we have with value is that we haven't had access to the parcel to accurately measure it, and we might have an incorrect square footage. So remember, when people aren't happy to see us, they might say, listen, I don't want you around here. So then we might have to take the square footage from some of our aerial pictometry, or we might have to take it from the building plans, and they may not be accurate. So that's generally where a lot of the discrepancies come from. But if there's ever we're statutorily required to keep it in the market value at a certain range. So we can't arbitrarily say this $100,000 home is worth $300,000. We can't do that. So there's remediation for that. But there are times when at the beginning of the process, it's more of an in-depth review, and then it becomes more of a mass appraisal. How are we on time? Good. Okay. Any other questions from the world? Yes, sir.
Pretty large decision came down from the Missouri Supreme Court last week relating to the office. Could you talk a little bit about that?
I'm gonna take a drink of water. Just parched. I think there's someone in the front row or the second row here that could probably answer that a little bit more clearly. I don't want to overspeak, but there was a case about exemption of business and certain property that was through the court system, and maybe Brent might like to answer that question.
Yeah, I'll stand up.
So since 2017, and it started with a previous assessor, the state legislators back in 2003 passed a bill that would exempt solar panels, not for resale from taxes. And so there's some large solar farms that have been built. They're selling power back to our utility companies, and they're saying it's not for resale for commercials being consumed by utility companies, and our legislators exempted that. Our previous assessor didn't think that was the case, so he put them on the tax rolls, and it went to the process of being appealed, went to the circuit court, we lost in circuit court, and that was kind of the end of it. I took office in September the third day I was here. Our county attorney came up to me and said, we're on a time crunch window if we want to apply to the Supreme Court, if you want to fight this decision from the circuit court. So I decided to go ahead and do that. It went up to the Supreme Court. It was heard in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled that it is not constitutional for our legislators to exempt properties at their will. So the lobbyists go in there, they say, I want to exempt my solar panels because I want to have, no taxes on solar panels, or I want to exempt this kind of business or that kind of business. And so they didn't rule against solar panels alone. They ruled against it's unconstitutional for legislators to exempt property that's not already set in the Constitution of the state. So what that does is now we go back, we'll build these solar farms, especially the one in what we've been after in 2017. So they'll now owe taxes from 2017 all the way to today. So that's quite a bit of tax revenue coming in. We're not going after solar panels on houses. That's not for resale. You're not reselling your solar panels in your house, but these large solar farms. And so the solar industry called us and said, hey, we get it, got us, and they didn't seem to be too upset with this too much. I don't think on the phone calls that we've had with them so far. There's a group here in the state where all the solar companies are part of a conglomerate that have their lobbyists. They hire their lobbyists. Their lobbyists called me. He congratulated us on our win, said we knew it was coming, and we'll pay up now. So we'll see where that goes. However, this does have implications on other exemptions. So other counties are now looking at some of the other exemptions that our state has applied to certain properties or certain businesses that they will now deem as unconstitutional under the same ruling. So we may probably see some more lawsuits coming. I think St. Louis County has already started one already on a different exemption. So there's some exemptions out there that were set by legislators based on our lobbyists who, it's a pretty powerful group up there who want certain properties exempt, but it's really not fair that the rest of us taxpayers having to pay all of our taxes when other people are getting exempt from taxes. So that's kind of how that ruling came down.
Did that fully answer your question, sir? I just want to make sure that we're not skipping over any. Okay. Any other questions from the room? Now's your shot. Brent's here. And we're happy to have him here. All right. Well, we have a website that is on our next slide that is going to answer any other questions. It also has all of our contact information for our department. And if anyone has any other questions, you can go to our website at the greencountymo.gov and click on the departments, and it's in the assessors tab. Anything else? So now we've got, come on, always asking questions. So John's going to go over their game from the commissioner's office.
Well, thank you. And last week you all came up with this game, so I'm just really standing here on behalf of the group that put this together, presenting what they came up with. And I know Megan from our office participated. Is there anyone else in the room that helped put this game together? Anyone? Your office did. Okay.
Brain work.
Okay, great. So I know who to defer questions to when they come up. We were trying to find a goal last week that really touches every office. And what we came up with, as you all recall, was to improve the flow of information to employees and citizens. So the game that they came up with really revolves around information flow to employees, but in turn that helps information flow to the citizens. So we'll just walk through here. As you recall, it revolves around the game telephone. Goal number one is to create a team of employees to report upcoming events from each department. So everyone's department should start reporting information I think to Megan is going to be kind of the information gatherer for this. So really anything going on. So like for an example, in the commission office, that might be, we recently released the campus plan. That would be something that we would have put on this. And Walt, the time frame of that, we really had to release that when we did. That would be something that we would really like to put on this list and would have referred to, talk to the group about before we did it. So that would just be an example from the commission office. Goal number 2 would be each department will send information for what services they provide to the public with FAQs for those services. So an example of that might be timelines and important dates to remember for tax statements, assessment forms, maybe upcoming elections. Just a few ideas there that might spark something from your office. Goal number 3 would be to develop a weekly or biweekly email format to communicate information to employees. Week number 4 will be to incorporate birthdays and work anniversaries into the communication piece. Goal number 5, week number 5 would be to update the FAQ, and then week 6 will be to launch the communication piece, which will be a bi-weekly email and FAQ document to employees and celebrate the win at weekly huddle. So as you can see, what they put together here is something that really helps the flow of information between all of our departments. Sometimes we can live in our own silos. We've got so much going on. This really helps to pull everything together and communicate it. And therefore, when when citizens are calling us, asking for information, we have it right there at our fingertips. So the group did a great job putting this together. Any questions? Cindy?
So can you repeat week 1? Because that's what we'll need to do for this upcoming week.
Let's create a team of employees to report upcoming events from each department.
How do we propose doing that?
So maybe every department and office holder maybe create 1 or 2 people from their department to do that. And then Megan's not here, so I'll volunteer her to be the. I'm standing in for her, so.
Okay.
So send it to just communicate with Megan. I think that would be a good central point of information.